Good afternoon, or evening, or morning, depending on where you are in the world and kind of time of day it actually is. I recently went to DockerCon, which is the annual conference hosted by the Docker company and many of its sponsors, and they had a special section of the conference where they basically had a Best Hacks Award, and this is basically an award given to people that have come up with really cool ways of using Docker. Well, they, there were two winners this year, and one of the winners that I found particularly interesting was the this Play with Docker website. So if you go to training.play-with-docker.com, you come to this page, and from here you can click in and actually see a whole bunch of different Docker tutorials, and they're really slick. So, of course, let's start with the Hello World example, and there's going to be a little captcha. Basically, they have a little thing that just checks to make sure that you're not a robot trying to access their website, and sometimes it'll have you pick pictures and things. Anyway, so basically, what you have on the left side is you have a section where it kind of talks about what's in the tutorial, and you can kind of scroll down and see all the things, and then you'll see that there's these gray boxes, and if you hover over them, you can click on them, and what happens is if you click in there, it'll actually put the command that you clicked on into the terminal on the right side, and this terminal actually allows you to run commands like running Docker commands. Oops, I'm sorry, it's scrolling the whole window. And basically you can see that when I ran this command, which was docker container run hello world, it tried to find the hello world image locally, and it wasn't there, so it went out and pulled it from a registry, and once it was all downloaded, it basically ran it, and it says, hello from Docker, and then there's a whole bunch of stuff after that. And if I actually run it again, so if I say docker container run hello dash world, this time it actually will just run it, and it won't actually have to download it again. So, but this is actually a fully functional terminal. You can type kind of almost anything you want in here that you would normally run in a terminal. So I can say like, echo hello, and it'll say hello, or I can do an ls on the root, and there's a file system there, and I can look at it. I can cat docker .log. So the reason why you can actually poke around in this file system and all this kind of thing is because this terminal is actually running inside of a container, a Docker container, and the other cool thing is that this container is actually running as part of a swarm. So with Docker Swarm, you have nodes, and there are examples in here that actually will involve multiple nodes and things like that. This tutorial is very detailed, but to kind of give you another taste of what you can do, I'll just walk through this second example, and I don't know why it's taking so long, but give it a second, and that terminal will pop up again. But basically, the second example, you start with a Alpine container, and Alpine is basically a very small version of the Linux kernel that basically you can put into a container, and usually it's a good way to run very basic applications, because it really is a very minimal operating system that doesn't have a whole lot in it. And I'm not sure why the terminal is not coming up. Probably just because I'm actually recording. There we go. So you start this by basically pulling down the Alpine image, and then you can use the Docker image ls command to kind of show that you have it as downloaded, and then what you do is you do this thing where you do docker container run Alpine ls-l, and what this is doing is running a container with Alpine in it, and then executing ls-l. So this file listing is actually the file listing of the container itself. And you scroll down, and you can run hello from Alpine, and you're running inside the container, and you can even actually run a shell. So whoops, actually it actually ran the shell, but then it immediately exited. And what Docker does is if you want to run something in an interactive mode, you pass it this -it argument, and so now I'm actually inside a shell inside the container, and so I can ls and echo host name. Whoops, sorry, or just type host name, right? And the host name is actually the container, right? So you can run commands inside of a container, and eventually you go through these, and then I should say that there is little quizzes along the way. So where do images get pulled from by default? And your default response would be to think Docker registry. But that actually would, let me not spoil that for you, although now you know it. And I showed you the Docker image LS. So I got 1 out of 2, and the answer to the question is actually Docker store, and it's up here. Basically, where you store images is really actually called a Docker store. Docker registry is kind of the nomenclature that's typically used because the main Docker store is called the Docker registry, whatever, docker.io. But anyway, there's a sample quiz for you. And you kind of click through these things, and you build, a web application and all kinds of stuff. It's really awesome, but the application goes even farther than that. So there's this tutorial section, which is very fun, and you definitely should play with it. But also, if you go to just playwithdocker.com, oops, sorry, not with the web apps on there in the end. If you just go to playwithdocker.com, again, you have to do a CAPTCHA to say, I'm not a robot. That's just so that robots aren't coming here and starting all kinds of random applications. Okay, so you get to this kind of thing, and basically you might be asking yourself, what the heck am I doing here? What do I do? And what happens is that, when we went into the training kind of section, we had a little terminal, and then we had instructions. Well, in the full lab, you can basically add as many nodes as you want. So I've added 1 node, and I can add a different, a second node, and then basically I have these 2 nodes, and I can, connect them together and all kinds of things, But basically, I can just run whatever I want here. I can, say Docker run, hello world, right? And it will go and pull the images down and stuff like that, and I can say Docker pull, what's a good example? Ooh, you know what? Docker run Eclipse Chi. I can go and run Eclipse Chi. And then, start. Da-da-da. So anyway, you can just go and run, whatever kind of commands you want, and just build container apps and kind of all that kind of thing. And it will basically let you just kind of create these containers and do whatever you want, and you can even get crazy if you want. You could do this. You could do rms-rf root. I don't really recommend that though, because then that container becomes basically useless. But then I log away. Those containers get thrown away, and then you can log back in and you get brand new containers. So it's a really great place to come, learn about Docker, play around with it, learn Swarm, learn Compose, do all this fun stuff, and it's just really awesome. So check it out, and that's it for today. Thank you very much.